Let's get this right out of the way. 2K does not make perfect games. I could make an hour-long video talking about my problems with 2K. The thing is, I could make a 2-hour-long video talking about my problems with EA. I mean, I could just condemn both for their obsessive microtransactions on yearly series that cost $60 in the USA, but that is a debate for another time. I love hockey, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who loves it more than me, which is why I'm so hard on the EA NHL franchise. I want a good, new hockey game. EA, in my opinion, doesn't provide that. The game has become extremely stale, and I know I'm not the only one who holds this opinion. It's true for all sports games though, it's the same sport every year, and it's pretty easy to become stale. This is what separates EA and 2K. EA will sell you the same game every year no matter at Madden, FIFA, EA NHL, or one of their other sports properties. EA will provide you with some upgrades and maybe a small new thing that becomes the game's selling point. They're content with being average though. 2K is different in this a bit. They're not launching groundbreaking things every single year, but they're trying things. Yes, things fail, but I respect them more for trying and taking a risk than just pushing the same stuff. EA NHL started in 1991 with NHL Hockey on the Sega Genesis. In the 90s, EA NHL dominated the scene. These games were some of the best sports games and best games, period. They were fun and innovative. The first game had 3 game modes, a version of Play Now, Season, and Playoff mode. Additions would continue until NHL 2001 when the skills competition was lost. Then there was no new additions to the game till 2005 when free-for-all mode became a thing. The games also began coming out earlier in the 2000s as its competitors who released games later in the year were gaining momentum. This weirdly may be one of the most important decisions in hockey games history, as EA would dominate the sales since their games were out first and hockey fans wanted the game now. Most consumers also did not differentiate between the two, so the first one out was the one they're getting. EA also did have more brand loyalty due to the massive amount of nostalgia that their 90s games have. I also feel it's where EA's flashy focus on graphics and presentation came from. It's much easier to market a pretty thing than an experience. The battle was seemingly lost for 2K during 2009. NHL 2K10 and NHL 2K11, which was only released on a Nintendo Wii, reportedly saw huge budget decreases. For EA NHL, the stress was off. They were left with no competition, no reason to improve. They were the only option. After NHL 09, the hockey game series would only receive 3 new game modes till NHL 18. Hockey Ultimate Team, NHL Moments Live, and GM Connected, which was discontinued after NHL 14 despite its popularity. NHL 18 released with the minigame NHL 3s, which I'm not sure I want to count as new since EA NHL had already done this with 3-on-3 NHL Arcade, and a demo or unlockable via cheat code in other NHL titles. But it was a step in the right direction, brought down by poor execution that is EA NHL. But they showed some effort, which I like. The game mode kind of reminds me of NBA 2K's 3-on-3 mode, which has been in various 2K games under different modes with different settings. I will address this next part more later, but when the switch to next gen happened is when things all went down. NHL 15 was a disastrous title, a completely awful game. It removed so much that it wouldn't even fit on the screen. Thankfully, Polygon has a nice list. It's like a drug commercial trying to hide how their drug will kill you. The game legit would do massive damage to the series, so much so even 2K considered joining back in with how bad EA NHL's reputation was. They tested the base with a mobile game. Since 1991, the NHL series has boasted 17 different game modes. It currently has 12. The total may seem small as you say, what about Dynasty mode? Nope, just GM mode or franchise mode under a different name. Or Be a Legend. Nope, that's just Be a Pro. EA always focused on flashy presentation and looks, and that included how they presented the game modes. Same game mode, new name, it must be new. Now let's compare their score to 2K. 2K has 19 different game modes, despite EA NHL boasting 16 more game titles, including 4 on the newest and best hardware. I also didn't put in the over 20 minigames that existed on 2K over multiple titles. The 2K games were creative in what they did to entertain the player. The game modes were unique, they were fun, they were designed to be a cool thing with friends and family on the couch and online, as well as modes for competitive players. There was simply more for the player to do and new ways to play the game on 2K. It was about being a game, not just a hockey game. Remember in NHL 14 Lived a Life when you got those boring, repetitive questions where after you put in some answers, someone would get pissed at you no matter what, and then the team sends down their leading scorer? Yeah, this is what NBA 2K14 Be a Pro looked like.
Before we get started on this pre-draft interview tour, we got a few things to go over. First, the NBA sent over this personality test for you to fill out so they can get an idea of how you think, what kind of person you are.
A test, man? Come on, really? All right,
man. Before that, though, let's talk about expectations. How you expect your NBA career to unfold?
If 2K even made half of NBA 2K for the NHL, it'd be better than that year's EA NHL game. 2K gives me an actual reason to buy each year because I want to know the story with my career. The NBA 2K games, despite their growing microtransaction problems, are the peak of current sports games. It wasn't just My Career or My Pro where they did this. Ultimate Team, Play Now, Franchise, they set the bar at it. It's also the little things that 2K does that are there. Most players won't notice them, but they're there and it's great. The amount of detail that goes into the game is shocking. The NBA 2K games have become such a part of basketball culture for a reason. The NHL games really are not a part of hockey's culture. They're a thing hockey fans could be interested in. I also feel EA NHL is no longer developing the game for those hockey fans. It's developed for its current player base, which is mostly HUT players. It is basically the big thing keeping the game alive. The thing that amazes me with 2K the most is it's both made for gamers and basketball fans. Again, I don't think EA NHL is really hitting either of those. 2K simply does it right. I mean, EA NHL won't even listen to their player base request about GM Connected. These games are so behind the time. The new edition that you finally get were in 2K or other EA titles for years. It's hard to be excited about a game when those in the same genre are constantly putting out better quality. For hockey fans, they're constantly looking at what the game could be, but isn't and never will be. When NHL 2K released on the mobile market in 2014, we saw a glimpse of what a next-gen NHL 2K could look like. There was a My Career mode, which again, 2K makes amazing My Career modes. They're absolutely fantastic. A season mode, free skate, play now, winter classic, and 3-on-3? It's a shame we didn't really get more than that game. 2K does continuously release NHL Supercard, so they still hold NHL and NHLPA rights and a small interest in hockey games. But just imagine the next-gen NHL 2K experience, a My Career story of being a late-round pick, working your way through the minors and living life. NBA 2K also acquired the rights for the use of college logos in their past games, so maybe hockey fans could have their choice between the CHL and college. I could speculate forever on what a game could look like, but that is not why I'm making this video. I have no doubt in my mind 2K would dominate the NHL scene and push EA NHL to the likes of NBA Live. But Polish, EA NHL has a smaller budget. They can't make the games 2K does. So if the games are admittedly worse and on a smaller budget, then why are they pricing them the same? Why is an inferior product the same price as an admittedly better one? When NHL 2K6 and 2K7 were released on old consoles, they were $20 because they were inferior. NHL Legacy and NHL 15 were legit $60 roster updates. And by the way, EA NHL in the past sold NHL 7 at $30 on old consoles, but squeeze that money out of hockey fans, EA. Yes, this was 3 years ago, but it became clear that day they just don't get it. They don't give a shit about the players. NHL 15 for both consoles was a slap in the face. It was EA telling you you're worthless, your opinion doesn't matter, and you'll buy whatever shit they push. And now it's just a dying game where EA throws a small budget to still put one out. Look at the sales. This game is dead. It's a joke. In a few years, where will that online player base they've been making the game for be? You'll be stuck waiting forever for games. There is a reason EA tries to emulate 2K so much with Madden, FIFA, and then eventually NHL. A lot of people in my comment section were critical on me for not tearing apart games like Bush League Hockey and Super Blood Hockey. It's because combined the games cost $20. I'm not expecting a AAA experience, I'm just expecting a somewhat unique, cheap entertaining experience, which I got. You don't get a AAA experience from EA NHL though when paying a AAA price. If the games were cheaper, I would not be as hard as them. I mean because $60 isn't all you're spending. The most popular game mode is Hockey Ultimate Team. The mode is pay to win. That doesn't have to be a bad thing. The problem is, when it's the premier game mode you have to play, how does a new player get into it? They'll take their poor team and lose to someone who spent money and become disinterested. It's not like the single player offers anything new, so why play the game? This doesn't even take into account that HUT packs are just a kind of loot box, and the ethical problem that this is gambling. You pay money to hopefully get that jackpot card. So hopefully little Timmy doesn't have his parents' credit card on his account or they'll be in trouble. The same thing casinos use to keep a player playing are the exact same in loot boxes in Ultimate Team Packs or My Team Packs in 2K. So if you want to play EA NHL, be prepared to spend $60 on the game, then summon HUT, or spend hours grinding it out to get a silver pack. I honestly feel bad for EA NHL employees because these people are hockey fans who care about the sport, or an artist who wants to make great games. They studied it for years for a reason, and they are obviously limited at EA. Am I being too hard on EA NHL? No. This video isn't a love letter to 2K either. It is not here to trash EA. It's here because I want a new, good hockey game. My problem is I don't believe there is one out there, and I see a possible solution. If EA NHL makes a good game, I will say it. NHL 11 and NHL 07 are some of my favorite games of my childhood and life. I put hundreds of hours into both. I even praised NHL 17 a lot before its release because I believed it looked good. but it wasn't. I fell for the same hype trap they sell and found myself moving on to better games. I want a hockey game that's not going to make me do that. I want a hockey game that I'm going to be engrossed in. I want a hockey game that's going to make me play it for hundreds of hours because there's something to do and I'm interested in it. That's what I want. If 2K or EA delivers it, then I'll play it. But right now, neither of them have. Hockey fans do not have that game. But 2K shows the potential to make that game. EA hasn't shown me the potential that they will make that game. So again, please, someone, just make a good hockey game.